Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited for this viola masterclass we're having tonight. Our guest teacher is Mr. Christian Colberg. He's the principal violist of the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. So I guess I'll let you introduce yourself.
Great. Okay. Hi, everyone. So she's right. I am currently and have been for many years the principal viola with Cincinnati Symphony. Before that, I was assistant principal in Baltimore Symphony, and I played with Baltimore Symphony for about 17 years before coming to Cincinnati. I went to school both in my hometown of Puerto Rico for many years, and then when I left Puerto Rico, I went to Peabody, and I did all my schooling here in the States at Peabody. And I got the job in Baltimore right after I graduated from Peabody. Now, I did go to Peabody all my years as a violinist, so I didn't pick up the viola until the audition came up for Baltimore Symphony, and then at that point, I became a viola player, and I've been doing it ever since. And so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you here today. I actually play in the Baltimore Symphony Youth Orchestra, and I think Zoe was in that with me too. Yeah, we're in like the Maryland region, so that's awesome. So before we start, I just wanted to get a group picture of everyone. So if you're comfortable with being in the picture, just turn your camera on. So, okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Okay. So our first performer tonight is Angelina Liu, and she's going to be performing a movement of the Walton Viola Concerto.
I'm working on this piece. I'll be playing an excerpt from the first movement of the Walton Concerto. I personally play for Seattle Youth Symphony Orchestra, so I live in Washington State. Yeah.
Okay. We'll stop right there. Um, Very good playing, by the way. And how old are you?
Oh, I'm 17. I'm a junior in high school.
17, junior high school. Wow. Okay, I did not sound that good at that age. Let me tell you. Very well done. Um, Couple of things that we can talk about. Let's start with this is why I always tell people when they go audition for orchestras to play the Bartok and not play the Walton, or as I like to call it, the Schwarzenegger. It's treacherous for intonation, and you walk out on stage and you're already a little elevated in your insides, and if you don't, it's a beautiful, very lyric thing to start with. But if you don't nail it, it's not going to leave a good impression on the jury. So when you start taking auditions, I recommend doing the Bartok because it lets you play in little by little. You start slow, you sort of gain momentum. It's still lyrical, but it's easy for intonation, and it's not until the second page where things start to get complicated, you know. So, however, this is what we're doing right now. I would like to stress the importance of making sure that you create a beautiful sound without the aid of vibrato at all. So right now you have a good bow arm, but it needs more colors. Your bow arm, and right now you're compensating those colors with your left hand. Another thing that you're doing is you are letting the left hand dictate what the bow is going to do. It never is that way, ever. I mean, there might be about 10 bars in the entire repertoire where maybe you have to concentrate on the left hand and leave the bow alone. So it's very easy to say that always the left hand follows the bow arm. And right now you're doing a little bit of target practice. Intonation, you know that you have to be careful with intonation. You've got some shifts, you've got some stuff happening, and you're concentrating solely on making sure that you get there with the left hand and completely ignoring the bow. Now, you have a good bow arm, so it carries you through, but that's going to stop. At some point, you're going to hit a wall where you're not going to get any better. And it's going to be frustrating. And the reason for that is because you're putting all your eggs on the left hand. So let's with that said, I'm going to just tear it apart right now. Maybe the first few bars, we're not going to go far because a lot of what I'm talking about can be described in just the first 2 lines. All right? So let's start again. Hold on. First of all, I recommend starting down.
Down.
Start down. And I'll tell you why. The initial phrase, da 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 da, much easier to play on an up bow, that crescendo, and then a down bow on the diminuendo, right? And then when you go to play the D, you're on an up bow, which means you have room to hide the shift. Okay?
Yeah.
So now, and that's number 1. Number 2, can you please play this without any vibrato? And a little bit slower. You're actually playing it you're playing it andante in a hurry rather than andante cómodo, which is andante on the backside. Okay, so take your time. Start again. No vibrato. Start down. Make a phrase only with the bow. So the phrase goes da 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 da. Right now, the first note that you played seemed the most important. It's actually not very important. Just play the note, go to the second note, and make sure that you have a line with the bow. Here, hold on. I don't want to play too much because the sound is horrible with these zoom things. But I'm gonna over exaggerate a little bit right now. I hear it's try it without vibrato and make sure that you actually do the phrase with the bow. Start here. Okay, no vibrato. Down, up. Da, da. Start here. Don't start here. There's no reason. You start right here in the middle. And do the bowing that's there. No. Another thing, and something else we'll need to talk about. You're starting with a 1.
Yeah.
Never. Never. You don't know where that 1 is. You actually have to search for it. If I was starting with a 1, I would have to search for it. I would have to do this. Sort of test where it is, right? You don't know where the 3 is. You have to guess. I know where the 2 is, and I know where the 4 is. Always use the fingering for what you know. There's no reason for you to start 1-3 if you can start 2-4. Nice. So now I need you to play around with, and I'm going to over exaggerate. This is what I call above the string playing. That thin, airy sound. And under the string playing, you get that core sound, right? I need you to create the phrase playing around with the how under the string or not you are. That's what I need you to use the bow. So this note, it's gonna have almost no under the string. At the very end, you're gonna get into the string a little bit. And then that C, eventually you're gonna get under the string, but not so much that you don't have room for the next notes. And that B is the most in the string. Okay, so create your note only using bow colors. Okay, now intonation. Hold on. Something else you're not doing. You're not breathing. The first note has to be played on an exhale. So you breathe in, and as you're breathing out, that's when you start playing. So that the air that you are releasing from your mouth matches what you're going to be doing with your right hand. Right now, what you're doing is you're holding your breath, and you're trying to start clean. start as you're breathing out through your mouth, then play the A. I know these are all hard concepts, and you know, but these are all little details that when you add them all together, just basically jump your playing to the next level.
Okay.
Breathe out, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out, and then start playing as you're breathing out. Very nice, very nice. Now, you need to understand one thing about the viola as far as intonation goes. You know, in the cello, when they do their scales, you know, in the C string, they'll go 0, 1, then 3, 4, da 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 da, right? Violin, when you start on the G string, you start open 1, 2, 3, right? Which is what the viola does, except that we are more leaning towards the cello side. So in this area of the viola, from about here to about here, which is sort of where your second and third finger are gonna be, they're not gonna be it's not gonna feel natural. There's a slightly more different gap than what you were expecting. On the violin and the cello, it's actually it's a natural placing of the hand. And on the violin, 0, 1, 2, 3, it just sort of happens naturally with the hand. And same thing with the cello. On the viola, you have to use 0, 1, 2, 3, but you have to pretend that you're doing 0, 1, 3, 4. There's a slightly bigger gap between the fingers, and you're not taking that into account. Just knowing the physics of the instrument itself. Okay?
Okay.
So start again and make sure that your third to second fingers, anytime you have a 3 and a 2, for example, at the beginning, la do da 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 da, 2 3 2 3. No. Breathe in, and when you breathe out, and when you're almost out of breath, when you're at the end of the breath, you start playing. No, at the end of the breath out. There it is. Lower two. Si, la, si. Yes. Oddly enough, first position, everybody says, you know, oh, first position is so easy. And it is. You don't have to work very hard. But for a viola player, first position is easy, but it's also the most treacherous area of the instrument. Once you start coming up here in the instrument, it starts behaving like a cello and a viola, and that you sort of where things are expected to be. It's actually down here, the distance of your fist, where things you have to be careful, and that's exactly where you're out of tune. Okay? Yeah. Now play me like the first line and a half, no vibrato, do every phrasing with the bow.
Also, just a quick time check, there's about 5 minutes left.
Okay, fantastic.
hands to the bone, sorry.
That's okay. Remember, low second fingers. This is the last thing I'll tell you. Last little bit of advice I'm going to give you. Whenever you are shifting, remember, the left hand follows the right always. Right now, you did. The left hand was really quick and the bow stopped. The left hand moves at the same speed as the bow when you're shifting. You see the two hands moving at the same speed. So move them at the same speed, relax the, and eventually you'll get there. With calm. And we probably need to stop now, right, Amy?
Yeah, awesome job, Angelina. I really enjoyed listening to that.
Thank you, Angelina.
So, awesome job. Okay, so our next performer is Claire Shu, and she'll be performing Hindemith Viola Concerto. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen, and then when you want me to stop the video, just like unmute and say something. Okay.
Hi, I'm Claire, and I'm 14 years old. I'm from Maryland.
Wow. Very nice.
Thank you.
And you are how old?
14.
14. Okay. Wow. Very impressive. It's funny. You have a natural talent and you will do just fine in the world if you keep going. You've been taught very well. I'm a little, how can I put this? My main concern with you is where your attention is. What you are choosing to pay attention to and what you are not. Because you have a natural facility with the instrument and things feel easy when you play them, you know. One tends to not pay attention. You're paying attention to, I'm moving here, I'm doing this, and playing these notes, and I need to be, you know, you're paying attention to the music, which is good, but not a lot of detail. I'm getting a lot of, if I had heard this movement, this third movement in its entirety, after a while, I would have said to myself, okay, but what else does she have to offer? For example, I'm gonna take this out of context so that we are very clear on. Imagine I'm just playing a normal C major scale. After a while, that mood that I set, you're like, ooh, that mood, okay. And then around here, you're going, okay, so what else is going to happen? Really? Is this all we're doing? Is this all that's going to happen? It's a nice sound. It's nice and airy, oh, so Ravel, so Debussy. And then, well, we're getting to the end. Well, it was in tune. The bow seems nice, good sound, nice Ravel sound, but the entire thing was that. And after a little bit of time, you kind of go, okay, I needed a little something else. Now, I will say, part of the focus that you need to be on is on your intonation. Mm-hmm. You are hitting the notes, but you are not hitting the notes in relation to each other. For example, those are technically in tune. This is a B, and that's a C. However, when they're more together, they really say tension release. We've landed at the one chord. Okay? And that's what I'm not hearing from you. So there are all these intervals and chords that you are just basically blowing through in the interest of music, and I don't want to erase that. You know, I don't want you to take it away. But you have so much good music that you can, it's okay to take a little more care on the intonation and the clarity that you bring. Something else, you know, I hear a lot of from up here. So I hear a lot of a shape that looks like this on your playing, as opposed to a shape that looks like this. Mm-hmm. So you're attacking like a good punch. Boom. When you punch somebody, boom. You go right up to here and no more. And that's very effective. Not so effective with the viola. So I'm gonna need a little more. More this. Okay, now, can you start that section? I just want to hear it and make sure that you got it. Okay, hold on. Something else that you're doing, which again, it's good. You gotta take care of. You're doing a wonderful job at creating a line, ba-da-dum bum, and you're getting there. Fantastic. But then ba-da-dum bum, bleh, ba-da-dum bum ba bum ba. So you're grabbing the person. So all these violent things. You're grabbing the person by the neck, and they already feel threatened, and then you're bringing them into your face. Right now, you're just grabbing them and looking away when you don't follow through. Okay, so I want to hear taka taka tam pam paradam pam pam taka ta para papa. No. Every note is in you. What I'm trying to tell you is, right now you are very good. You're very talented. You have a great deal of flair in your playing, but you're playing the obvious. You're playing the obvious thing. You know, if like when somebody says the third movement of the Hindemith, how does that section, how does that go? And you go, you know, the part, and you sing it like that, and they go, oh yeah. That's how you're playing it. You're playing it, and then instead of the fast notes, hold them back. Don't just go down. Don't compress the notes. Make sure that every note has been taken care of. Don't worry about, oh, it's going to sound boring maybe. No. You won't sound boring. You have enough wonderful movement in your body that it will not be boring. Okay, one more time. Very nice. And then when you do the shift, take your time. Okay? Now that you are paying attention to every note, it's sort of like a catch-22. Before you weren't paying attention to every note, so it sounded exciting because you were just playing the obvious. But the obvious only goes so far. So now that you're playing every note and paying attention to every note, now you do have to make sure that you use that time wisely. Now that we know that you're in control, we now expect to hear even more music. So that's fantastic. Now, do not push the instrument more than that. Okay? I know you want to sound powerful, but if no matter what you play, there always has to be a sense of elegance. Even in the most angry moments, make sure that you leave a little bit of room for elegance. And if elegance is not there, you're doing it wrong. Okay? It's going to sound aggressive in the wrong way. Okay? And you're going to start pushing the instrument, and the instrument can only take so much. Now, do me a favor. Just play the first, like, 3 or 4 bars. I want to hear the intonation in that. first of all, not straightforward. Okay? And make sure, remember what I said to the previous person, the first position in viola is actually more treacherous than the rest. Make sure that's not somewhere in there. Make sure you keep things low also. That was perfect. Now keep going. Sorry, shouldn't have interrupted.
Sorry.
Uh-huh. No, da. That note, the one that was by itself and no chord, was actually out of tune. Why? Yum bum 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 ba da da. You want to go there. Getting to the top and getting to where you're going is less important than how you got there. So the most important note is the note before you get there. And that's the one note that you let go. So ya pa 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 pa. One more time.
Quick time check, about like 3 to 5 minutes left.
Okay,
Yeah.
after this we're done. Yeah, you hear that? You hear that? You're not elegant. You're just playing the notes. You're getting involved in the wowness of this part. No. Keep elegant. You don't have to give that much. And that D could be a little longer too. Taka taka da 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 ba ya ba da da. Better, not quite yet. However, I will say one thing, this is the last thing I'll say. When you started playing, you stopped and said, that's not good. Every time you think that to yourself, now I don't want to freak you out, but most of the time that you think that, we hear that too. If you didn't like it, even if we don't know why we don't like it, we won't like it either. Okay? So all those things that you're playing through and you're going like this, you're going, I hope that they come out, or I hope that I sound good, or I hope that I'm in tune. If you're hoping, it makes us uncomfortable. It makes us on edge, the person who's listening. Don't do this. Make sure you know exactly what you're doing. So what you're putting out there is absolute truth. And you're not trying to hide or be like a magician, like, look over here, this part's hard, but look over here, pay no attention to this part. We do that a lot, including me. We're human. The more honest you are with yourself, when you say, I didn't like this, stop. Fix it. For you in particular, you're probably giving too much, and you're probably not taking enough time on the notes that are important to take time. That's specifically for you. Okay? Then we probably have to move on now, right, Amy? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome job, Claire. That was really impressive.
Thanks.
Great job.
Incredible
Okay.
playing.
Awesome. So our next performer is Zoey Ma. So, okay.
Okay. Hi, I'm Zoe. I'm 17. I'm a senior, and I'm from Maryland.
From
We'll
Maryland.
be playing the first movement of the Reger Suite Number 1.
Okay, you know what? Reger. Do I have a Reger? Wait, da 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 da. Yeah, okay. Go ahead. You know, where are you people getting taught? This is amazing playing. Who are your teachers? Hold on a second. Let me get my part. Okay. Here it is. That didn't take that long. So, what I find in your playing, fantastic playing, is just a little stuck. When you, I haven't played this in a long time, but I didn't hear that. I only heard strength. Everything was, you know, like playing, you know, the entire time. So I could use a little more. And then here, don't do this. You're trying to be in tune. You're trying to make sure that you're in control of both notes. But what's happening in the process is that you're sticking them out more. It's like the person that really wants to be in time, and then all you hear is, you know, they're trying to be in time, but then you hear the time. So this is a viola alone. No accompaniment, no nothing. I would take a slightly more cadential approach to it than you are. You're taking a very, I need to show my audience what the rhythms are and where they are. And that's all great, you know, but a little more Bach. You're not, one doesn't tend to be that metronomic with some of, you know, I could play around with that a little bit, right? You don't really need to know exactly where the beat is. It's more the intent behind the beat. Same thing here.
Okay.
Okay? Can you start it off a little bit? You like the strength, but let the bow go too. Let it go into Ravel area also.
That part about the chord or the double stops, did you mean not emphasizing each of the notes as much, or?
Yeah, well, you can be melodic. But even if that was the melody, the second note would not be as much as the first.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay? And right now, I know you're trying to stay in tune. You're purposely slowing yourself down to play it in tune and make sure the notes are there, but you're bringing them out more by doing that.
Okay.
Again, and why did that happen? You're concerned about your left hand. And the right hand is reacting to your left hand. Never. The left hand follows what the right hand wants to do. And the right hand wants to do. Okay? One more time. A little trick, whenever you're playing chords, Bach, especially on here too, make sure that the note before the chord actually has a little bit of a crescendo.
Okay.
Right before the chord. Da, 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 da. Go into the chord with the bow. Slight crescendo. I'm sorry, did you do that?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw you use your fourth finger. Okay, thank God. I'm hearing a little bit of this. First of all, this is not needed. Not needed. You put the instrument in you go like this, and you start. This creates tension. It does not create relaxation. And we are in the business of how you move is what your body is telling you. Doing this, it makes me tense. You know, it's like the scary movie, the thing's about to pop out of the closet. Just start. But let it go. I'm hearing you're starting to play after you start to play. So you play ba wa ah, and then you get serious. No. You start to play from the beginning and let it go. No bubble. No bubble. Ba wa, no bubble. Do me a favor. The double stops are a little out of tune. But do me a favor, because intonation can also be fixed by the bow speed and what you're doing with it. Can you really, really release the 2/16 notes and take more time? For example, Bach, fugue, right? Eighth note, eighth note, eighth note. 16th notes. Those are longer than the eighth notes. All right. Same thing here. So use the bow. Don't you're compressing them. So dam da ya bam pa ya. Use the bow and the crease. More bow, and let the notes go. Just start right there on that bar 9 or 3. Yeah.
But if I do that, don't I need to use that same amount for my eighths?
Right now what's happening is you are really cutting down your eighth, which you shouldn't. Remember, you're going into a double stop. So this is where that trick comes in. Crescendo into the second note. You're playing bubbles. You're playing in bubbles. You do that a lot. which is basically a portato move. Not bubble. Just for right now, just go tam pa da pa. Absolutely smooth, no bubble. Yeah, more bow, the entire bow, so that I want to see. The entire bow. So this movement that you're doing eventually will be much better. You actually don't need to play that loud. Can you go a little bit more into the Ravel world? A lot of air, more air in the bow. So everything is it's gonna sound like a contradiction. I'm not trying to contradict myself, but you're really using a lot of bow speed in the second note. Just play the top note for me. Just that. Very simply. Absolutely smooth. Absolutely smooth. Okay, we're getting better. The more you went down the scale, the less bow you were using. That worries me. Okay, one more time. Same amount of bow for the entire thing. Great. That was good. I could still use a little more air. But now, can you add the double stops and just move the bow the same way you just did now? Right. That automatically was a lot more in tune. And I could actually hear all notes equally. It was boring, yes. But that is where you need to start from. This openness in the playing. Because right now, whether you are aware of it or not, as soon as something starts to get a little more complicated, your bow starts to choke up. And you're compensating with other things. And you're doing a very good job of it too, because you sound great. But again, I'm looking ahead 10 years from now. What kind of a player are you going to become if you keep doing that? I need you to learn how to breathe with your right arm and force your left hand to follow the movement you want the left to make. And right now you're not. And again, you sound great, but eventually it's going to feel like Sisyphus trying to push that boulder up the mountain. It's gonna get harder and harder and harder to do what you want to do. So not louder. I don't need to go to play two notes. This is just practice. The entire bow. Right now, when you play it, it's you are forcing. I will get it. I will sound good. You're making it happen. It sounds counterproductive, but you're gonna have to let it go a little bit. Right now, the needle is too much on the other side. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How are we doing on time?
About 2 to 3 minutes left.
Okay, wow, this went by way too fast. Got so many more things to say. You know what? Let's stop here because I want to make sure that you and anybody else who played for me, if you have any questions at all, doesn't have to be about what you played. It could be about anything. I want to make sure and allow time for questions.
Awesome. If you guys have any questions, you can feel free to unmute or you can type them in the chat.
And again, all I have left to do tonight is drink. So, I'm in no hurry. I can't even see if there's chats.
Yeah, I can check. I guess I have a question. I guess this is a very generic question, but what has been like one of the most inspiring experiences you've had as a musician and why?
Oddly enough, I know it's going to sound corny, but I was doing Beethoven 9 with the Baltimore Symphony with Tamerkanov conducting. And when the moment came in the last movement, the big chorus moment of Beethoven 9, he just stood there and went like this. Didn't conduct, didn't do anything. He just let us, the musicians, take over. And it was such a wonderful moment. I'll never forget it. I'm sure there are many other moments, but that one's the first one that sort of jumped to mind because I'm talking to a bunch of people from Baltimore or area. Anybody have any questions about auditions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
When did you know that you just wanted to do orchestra?
When I needed a paycheck.
Oh, was that right after undergrad?
Yeah, I mean, I went to school and I've been working in orchestra since I was about 10 years old, making money. But I never thought, oh, I'm going to be an orchestra musician. I was just sort of doing it to gig, to have a little money, to pay for my school, because I was left on my own to do all that stuff. And so when I graduated Peabody puts you in such a bubble, or whatever school you go to, you're always in such a bubble. You think that that's your whole life, in that bubble. And then the time came to graduate, and I went, uh-oh, I need money. I need to get a job. I need to, for real, an apartment, food, etc. And I saw a job for viola in the Baltimore Symphony, and I said, the hell with it. Somebody give me a viola. I literally just borrowed somebody's viola from the school and took the audition and won. It was purely desperation. I will say, however, now that I've been in the orchestra business for more years than I'd like to admit, it's wonderful. When I see what soloists have to go through, when I see what quartets have to go through, composers, to have that place where you can go and have this steadiness in your life. Sometimes, it's not the most fulfilling work all the time, but it's quite nice. It's very nice. I highly recommend it, at least from a job perspective. And I do a lot of other things too, to keep my soul happy. Composing, playing concerts on my own, all that stuff. Yeah, I do all that as well. But yeah, it was right after graduation I went oh shit, I need a job. That was it. That's when I knew I was gonna be an orchestra musician. What else you got? Anybody? Really? I always find it amazing that nobody has any questions about auditions. Everybody thinks they know exactly what they're doing. It's so weird.
I guess I have a question. I mean, oh, there's one in the chat. How do I get motivated to practice?
You don't. There's no such thing as being motivated to practice. You have to do the action first. It's not like, oh, I'm inspired. And then, oh, I'm motivated to do this because I'm inspired. And then you go do the thing. No, you do the thing. And while you're doing the thing, it inspires you and motivates you to stay and keep doing the thing because you see yourself getting better. You see yourself progressing. You see your brain growing. I think maybe the better question would be, how do I practice? Because if while you're practicing, you're not finding it enjoyable, it could be the way that you're practicing and the results that you are seeing based on that that don't match. So I must say, I tentatively say that what you really should be asking is that, not how do I, get motivated to practice.
Oh, and there's a follow-up question from
How do I
Rachel.
make practicing
Yeah.
enjoyable? Wow. First of all, that's like asking, how do I make exercise enjoyable? Who wants to exercise? I'll go for a walk. Sure. Maybe I'll play a little soccer with some friends, but that's exercise, right? But to actually go to a gym and lift weights and get on the treadmill and all that, I find that boring. But you do it, right? So how do I make practicing enjoyable? Again, I question what kind of results and how you are practicing that you would say, how do I make it enjoyable? Because if you're asking me, how do I make it enjoyable? It's sort of ringing to me that you're not doing it right. Because it's such a great joy to start something and see yourself get better. And what you couldn't do a week ago, suddenly you're playing this and you're going, wow. To me, that's exciting to learn that and to get that better. So again, if you're not getting the results you think you should be getting, or as quick as you think you should be getting them, or things that would make you go, I want to do it again, then I have a question. I have an issue with that question. Again, you got to start with the action, and then you get motivated, and then you find the enjoyment. There are many things that start that way. Practicing is one of those. Do you have any tips for auditions? How much time do you have? Lord. Listen, let me, since you're all young, let me get one message across for auditions. If you learn nothing else from me, understand one thing, okay? And it'll lead you to a much better experience when you audition. When you're learning your sonata or your whatever, concerto, and you go play it to an audience, that audience is there to receive your message. They want to hear, how does Amy play the Daphnis solo? How does so-and-so play this piece? What's their approach? And so they're there like clean slates, right? Ready to receive. When you take an audition, you need to understand that that does not exist. There's no such thing as what I just described. When you take an audition, the jury has a very clear idea of what they want to hear. Very clear idea. And if they don't hear it the way they want to hear it, you're out. And I mean for example, let's take a little technical thing that happens a lot. Let's take the Mendelssohn Scherzo. It's supposed to be at 84. That's the tempo of the Mendelssohn Scherzo. Because the clarinets, it's hard for them. So people have walked on stage and played the Mendelssohn Scherzo at 120. Violinist, violist, cellist, and they have played it incredible. Heifetz couldn't have done a better job. It was amazing. And do you know what we said? Goodbye. We don't care that you played it at 120 flawlessly. We want to hear it at 84. If you don't play it at 84, then bye-bye. So understand that one basic concept, that practicing for your concerts is very different than practicing and what the goal is for an audition. It's two different worlds, and you need to talk and play for people who understand the audition world. It's very different set of rules. Okay?
So I have a follow-up on that. I thought that was really interesting. I know that sometimes with more expressive pieces, there can be a lot of different interpretations. So when you apply that to an audition world, I guess, how would you make sure that your interpretation matches the jury's?
Well, first of all, you need to ask. You need to ask somebody who is in the business, how is this played? Because every orchestra might play it differently, but there's a default that everybody wants to hear. There's a way of playing it that you won't offend most people. And that's how you need to learn how to play it. And there will be expressiveness in what you do. It's not like you're going to eliminate the music. You just need to know how much music to put in and where to put it in. And you need to make sure that you do it the exact same way every time. So that when you go on stage in an audition, you're not there going, well, I practiced it this way, but now I'm going to let go. I'm going to show them. Now I'm going to shine. Bye-bye. Not going to happen. Do it exactly like you practiced it. Exactly like you practiced it. After talking or playing for somebody who knows what they are doing. You understand? And that also applies in some degree to your solo work. Because in auditions, they'll ask you to play a concerto or maybe some Bach or Mozart. And it's the same thing. That's your real resume. So be very careful how you play that compared to how you would do it in a concert hall for an audience. What else you got? Is that it? I guess that's it.
Awesome. Well, I guess if there's no more questions, if you do have any more questions, you can send them to me and I can send them to Mr. Colberg for you. But if not, thank you guys so much for being here. I really enjoyed listening to all of you, and I really enjoyed listening to the feedback too. I mean, I'm a flutist, but I still thought a lot of the things you said were really helpful. So yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Mr. Colberg. Thank you, Angelina, Claire, and Zoe, and our audience, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, and great job with what you're doing, by the way. This is a fantastic thing that you're doing. Bravo to you.
Thank you.
And bravo to all the people who played. And if you need me to do it again at some point in the future, go ahead. I'm more than willing to do it. So good.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
So yeah, thank you, everyone. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.